This is the Horse Radio Network.
Greetings, everyone. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily, episode 1352, where I go down the rabbit hole of recycled plastic barrels. This episode is brought to you today by Green Flower Botanicals. And before I go down my rabbit hole, let's take a minute to learn a little bit more about what makes Green Flower Botanicals different.
And now our own Dr. Wendy Ying speaks with Roger from Green Flower Botanicals in a series we call CBD Oil 101.
In our continuing series on CBD oil, we're going to find out why Green Flower Botanicals is different than other companies.
Well, thanks for asking that question, Wendy. We think that we're able to really provide a superior product for several different reasons. One of those is it begins with we source right here in the USA, and we purchase and have partnerships with farms in both Colorado, Kentucky, and Oregon, as opposed to a lot of companies are bringing in, importing CBD from China. Along with that, our extracts are whole plant extracts instead of isolates. So what that just means is we keep all the fatty acids and trace cannabinoids in there that as they're naturally found and bonded in the plant itself. So it's just a really, really wonderful cannabinoid-rich oil. And then, of course, is just the safety and quality issues. Every one of our products is tested at a third-party laboratory for metals, heavy metals, for pesticides, fungus, molds, and, of course, for cannabinoid content itself. So you can always be sure that not only are you getting quality product, but also you're getting a safe product.
Well, that's super, Roger. And how can people find Green Flower Botanicals?
Go to greenflowerbotanicals.com on the internet, and you'll see all of our products there, as well as the testing we talked about. Every product has a test online. And most importantly, for our HRN listeners, you can use coupon code HRN and save 20% off on your first order with Green Flower Botanicals.
If you show your horses, please check with your federation on the legal use of CBD oil.
All right, here we go. I love upcycling things. I love to save money on props and things for my arena. So the plastic barrel is ubiquitous in the horse biz, and I love them. Here are just a few of the things that I've done with plastic barrels. An obvious one, then you've probably seen it before. You just cut it in half along its diameter, so you end up with two short barrels shaped similarly to a muck tub, and you've got instant water troughs. I personally don't like to use these for feed because the nooks and crannies in the top and bottom, once you cut them in half, have a tendency to trap bits of food that creatures like to get into and eat, but to each his own. You can cut it the other direction so that you end up with two barrel shapes in half, and they make handy-dandy water troughs or feed troughs, but you are going to want to stabilize them. Otherwise, horses like to use them for toys. Next common thing that you see barrels being used for is jumps. You can cut them in half like you would for a water or feed trough and just tip them upside down and hop over them just the way they are. Another way you can use them is cut them in half like that, and then take planks of your choice and bolt them to the rounded surface. So you end up with a roll top jump. Or you can have a roll top jump, leave the center plank out at its highest point of the radius. You attach a vertical 2x4 or 4x4 to the ends of your barrels so that you have a spike sticking up, and then you can add extra planks to that to give it to more height. It will become rather stable because that base is so nice and wide. Along those same lines, you can also use them to differentiate your arena. If you've got one of those areas that you like to ride, but it doesn't really have a little fence, you can use barrels like dashes around the perimeter to give yourself a visual edge to your arena. Or you can take them and cut little notches out of the tops that planks or 2x4s will sit down into to give yourself a more solid type of edge. Another obvious one, use it for water storage. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. We all have a natural disaster of some sort or another, and we should all have ways to store several days worth of water for our horses in case of emergency. We don't have power or water. Just get yourself a few of those that are water safe. Generally speaking, if you buy them from reputable sources, they can tell you whether or not they're a food safe product. Fill them full of water, and just when you fill them up, if you have them on their sides, you can attach a spigot to them. Or if you cut the top off, then you just have a giant barrel. Just cover the top of the barrel with a piece of wood or heavyweight plastic to keep it clean, and you can just dip water out as you need it. Smaller versions of these barrels, the giant blue 55-gallon drum ones, are pretty common, but you can also find the ones that are 15 or 20 gallons that are smaller, have a little handle on top. You can do all of the above with those as well, and they're a little bit easier to move around if you're using them for water storage. They also make handy-dandy markers for arenas if you need to put dressage letters up, or you want to make them into markers for obstacle courses. Handy-dandy for that. All you need tool-wise is a reciprocating saw, which, by the way, can be rented from your local big box store. And you're going to want to have some kind of a rasp or grinder to smooth the edges, because when you cut these, the edge can be a little bit sharp. I just use an old rasp that I have laying around that my farrier gave me when it was no longer useful for trimming hooves. So there you go, the rabbit hole of upcycling barrels. This is Coach Jen, and I will be back again soon with another tip. So until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.